Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Beach Boys album ranking video. Today we're up to number 14 out of 30, so we are over the halfway mark, so we're on the home stretch right now. And it's been a while. I'm so fucking sorry, because good stuff happening in my life right now, and if you're watching this, you know who you are. You're awesome. Anyway, back with another album review. Beach Boys. Yeah, so last video we checked on Carl and the Passion's So Tough from 72, and love that record. Really unique, very different for the band, and it was just a completely sonic change for the band at the time. And, you know, while it's gone underrated nowadays and at the time, I still think it holds up amazingly, and I think Blondie and Ricky made a great addition to the band. But today, we are jumping back 8 years to a completely different era of the band. This album, to me, when most people think of the Beach Boys, when they think of that fun in the sun, surf rock California band, this is the album that encapsulates all of that. And is it the best of their not surf rock, but their early sound? No, there is more that I would put above it. But in terms of just the innocent sound and the innocent deep album sound of the Beach Boys. Before the Beach Boys were an album band, this was their best early album in my opinion, and without any further ado, I'm just gonna go right into it. So, I just looked this up and I don't remember, so don't quote me on it, but anyway, the album in question is All Summer Long from 1964, and it was July, but it was either the 13th or the 25th, and I just fucking looked it up and I cannot remember honestly, and yeah, so it was July 1964. Don't remember the exact day, but basically, yeah. So this was their second studio album of the year, and you know it had only been halfway through the year, which is fucking crazy. But anyway, this is an absolute classic, just a classic in every way, and I love it so much. And you know, I kind of wanted to put this one higher, but there's just some things that hold it back from being top 10, and there's also some things that really make me want to put it in like the top 5, but I cannot do that. So this one's a very interesting one that I have to talk about. So basically this is just a pure fucking classic, and basically the backstory is all summer long. This is the album we're talking about. Shutdown Volume 2, which was released earlier in the year, their first album after the British invasion happened. It didn't do as well as they wanted, and it did not meet sales expectations or chart expectations, so the band and the record label was kind of like, well, that didn't really do much. The whole Hot Ride thing is kind of dying now, so they had to, you know, come together and find a new idea that would work for the band, and they decided that they weren't just going to be a surf band or a car band or talk about girls. They just wanted to make fun music that made people happy, and this album is the embodiment of that. It's just so happy and fun, and there's nothing on this album that just doesn't bring a smile to my face, and I love it. So, basically, they went in the studio and they went in the studio, and this record was basically the first one where the Wrecking Crew played the biggest role. Before then, they utilized the Wrecking Crew, Brian utilized the Wrecking Crew, but it was sort of a mix between the actual guys playing their own instruments and the Wrecking Crew coming in and doing their own thing. So for this record, this is when the Wrecking Crew was basically doing everything. And for the songs that they weren't, you know, you could tell and it's apparent, but a lot of the songs you can hear big orchestration and more exotic instruments and percussion that you would not get with the core Beach Boys. And it just puts it up to a new level. I think this album has just as many. Well, I should say I think Surfer Girl has just as many great songs on it as this record. But to me, this one just feels like an advancement in production values and lyrical themes, which is why I love it considerably more. Even though I do fucking love Surfer Girl. Anyway, so to get into the songs on the record, because I don't want to drag this out to 29 minutes again, because you guys don't want to sit through that. Basically, the Beach Boys made their first #1 hit in 1964. And that song, you guys all know it. I don't know a single person who doesn't know the song. I Get Around. This one was released in May. I think this one was May 13th or May 25th. It was the 13th or the 25th. I swapped the dates. Anyway, I Get Around came out, and you gotta understand at the time that when the Beatles came to America, everything changed. Everything at once. Nothing was the same. Almost all of the American bands, besides the Beach Boys, didn't make it because they're just overshadowed by the British invasion. The Beatles being the biggest, obviously. And for months and months, the Beatles occupied all the top 5 spots on the Billboard Top 100, which was fucking crazy. And I don't know if we'll ever see something like that in music history again. But at the time, it blew people's minds. And basically, the Beach Boys went into the studio with the song that Brian and Mike wrote together, called "I Get Around." Super short song. Well, not super short, but it's a short song. It's 2 minutes. It's not much longer than that, but it's so magical, and they did it. They released it as a single with "Don't Worry Baby" backing it up, which we talked about on Shutdown Volume 2. One of the greatest songs of all time. "I Get Around" is also one of the greatest songs of all time. And anyway, it went to number one. It dethroned the Beatles off the top of the charts. And it kind of just blew people's mind, because this album and that song were really the first Beach Boys music that made them worldwide. "I Get Around" was a song that internationally made them recognized. Before that, they were huge in America, huge in America, but they were not as known in the rest of the world, in Europe, Australia, Asia, like that, South America, Africa, all of the continents pretty much. And yeah, so they released that song and went to number one. It blew them the fuck up, and it was their first number one record they ever made. And that basically kickstarted off of this album and what they wanted to do for it. So anyway, "I Get Around," it leads off the album, and you guys all know the song, but if you don't, it starts with the "round, round, get around, I get around," the whole vocal intro, with Mike on the low, tenor baritone kind of voice, and then Brian comes in on the falsetto, and then just the melody and the way it's written is so fucking melodically perfect. And it is one of those songs, I'm gonna steal this from a YouTube comment I saw one time, but it is one of those songs that is just written so perfectly that you really can't compare it to anything else. It's like a "Strawberry Fields Forever," or "House of the Rising Sun," or "Stairway to Heaven," in a way that it's just so unique and special, and nobody else could make "I Get Around" except the Beach Boys in 1964. And it's just one of those iconic songs that defines the 60s, defines a period of time, and it's a fucking masterpiece. And the lyrics are kind of funny. They're nothing deep or anything. You just get around, do things, have fun, be a kid, be a teenager, just have a good time with your life. But just the melody, the production. I'll just point out small things. The production is phenomenal. This is the album where Brian Wilson really showed that he was right up there with Phil Spector as the greatest producer in the game. And Phil Spector, George Martin, but for American producers, he basically put himself right at the front with this album, and "I Get Around's no different. It sounds fucking amazing, and I love the guitar on this one. It's so, like, the way, the clean tone is so fucking beautiful, and just the harmonies are beautiful. Brian's falsetto, Mike's voice, just everything. Love it. And they actually performed this on Ed Sullivan later in the year, along with "Windy," which is another song on this record we'll get to, which is awesome performance, iconic with their striped shirts and everything. And yeah, so it opens off this album. It's a fucking masterpiece, amazing song, one of the greatest songs ever written, I think. And it's just iconic, one of their most recognizable songs, and it's unique, it stands out, and they never made a song like it again, and nobody else really ever made a song like it again. So yeah, "I Get Around" is fucking amazing. Followed up by "All Summer Long." This one was a single in Europe, and I don't know if it was the A side or the B side, but I'm pretty sure it was the A side, and it was released in '65 in Europe after this album came out in America. This album it came out considerably later in Europe for some reason, because Capitol was weird at the time with their release dates. Anyway, "All Summer Long," the title track, I fucking love it. But interestingly enough, Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones at the time, he did a thing with some record, like, melody maker interview, and he basically said, "This song's trash. They can't sing on this one. I Get Around was great, but this one sucks." Which, he was a brutally honest guy. Rest in peace, Brian Jones. But I don't agree at all. I think fucking "All Summer Long's amazing. It's perfectly nostalgic. It makes you look back to your old times and just relive for your childhood memories. And I really love it. It's just so carefree. Just, going out with your friends, your girlfriend, going to the movies, going to the beach, eating food. It just, all of that. It just embodies just being a kid. And this album is just that. It just, obviously I wasn't even, my parents weren't even conceived into the world when this album came out, because it's an old ass album. And I was, literally 40 years away from being thought of, but I could still tell the sound they're going for, and I could still feel the meaning, and it still resonates with me, even though I'm so young compared to this record. All summer long, I love the production. I love the harmonies. I love Mike's lead. Just everything about it is just awesome, and I love the song. And Brian Jones, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Anyway, next is a cover of the Mystics' Hushabai, an old 50s song. I think it's 50s. It might be early 60s. And oh my fucking god, dude! I'm gonna flip my hair real quick. Hashabai. I'm not too familiar with the original song, but all I can say about the version on here is it is fucking gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, and it makes me tear up. And it's just Brian's lead, his falsetto, his just like the intro and all the harmonies, and Mike singing on the bridge. It's just so melodically beautiful. And though it is a cover and they didn't write it, I think they did it more justice than anybody could have ever done. And am I gonna say it's better than the original? I don't know, because I don't really remember it, but I've listened to it like once or twice. But all I can say is that Hushabai is fucking gorgeous, and it belongs in the album. It's amazing, absolutely 10 out of 10 track. Check it out. Next, a classic song called Little Honda. So funny enough, so Brian wrote this for a band called the Hondells in the same year, and they released it as a single, and it went to number 9 on the charts, which is very surprising. And a lot of people know that version of the song, but they don't really know that it's a Beach Boys song. They're the ones who wrote it. Brian wrote it, and Brian and Mike, I think, maybe Gary Usher, I'm not sure, but it's the Beach Boys never released it as a single, but I think it's a really cool song. I really personally enjoy it a lot, and it's not one of my favorites because it's a lot sillier than like some of the other songs on here. You know, it's a much more niche lyrical theme. You know, getting a Honda motor scooter instead of just having fun in the summer. It's a very niche thing, but I still fucking love this song. Denny yelling "go" at the beginning. You know, the floor tom fills, the distorted electric guitar chugs. It kind of is. If you listen to the song, listen for the guitar in the very beginning when he's like "go" and it's like da da na 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 na. Carl is playing fucking electric guitar chugs and a song in 1964 on a Beach Boys album. Listen to it, trust me, I'm not lying to you. It's really cool. But the song's just energetic, it's fun. I love the chorus, the first gear, it's alright, second gear, we'll lean right, all that. And then I just love Mike's vocal. He just has such a great delivery. I love the harmonies, and I just love the energy, and I love the snare in the last part, so it's like just that da-da-da-da, I love that. It's very specific, but I just love that about the song. Next comes a ballad sang by Brian, written by Brian, We'll Run Away. Just an album track, never released as a single anywhere, probably barely on any compilations, very underrated, very overlooked. But it's called We'll Run Away, and it's, again, a fucking beautiful, beautiful song. This, to me, is one of the most relatable and, well, not really relatable, almost relatable, but just in a way, it makes you long for just better times, and it just makes you feel good because you can relate to it, if you have gone through what it's talking about. And it's just gorgeous, what the fuck. Brian's voice is amazing, the track sounds amazing, it's beautiful, and nobody knows of it, and it's really sad, so go listen to it, We'll Run Away. Side 1 ends off with an instrumental, one of their last, actually, it is their last surf rock instrumental they would ever do in the 60s. And that song is Carl's Big Chance, written by Carl, actually. I think Carl and Brian, put the arrangement together, but Carl wrote the guitar. And, it's in line with the surf instrumentals they had already done, because there's no vocals, it's just, like a lead guitar and then the backing. And, it's not like anything crazy deep or anything, but it goes in line with their other instrumentals, but it takes it to a different level because of the better production, the Wrecking Crew, and just their ability had gotten better. And, most people don't really a lot of people don't really even know who Carl Wilson is, but even if you do, they really underrate his guitar playing, and on these instrumental tracks, he carries them so hard. I aspire to be as just clean as he is. He took Chuck Berry's style, but he made it much more natural, in my opinion, and just free-flowing, and his lead playing on the song is great. So that's side 1, fucking awesome, love all of them. I just love this album, man, so I'm just going through it really quick, but it's great, it's really great. And there's not problems I have on side 2, but there's some obvious things to point out that will make sense why this album's not higher. Anyway, side 2 opens up with a beautiful fucking song called Windy. I talked about it earlier a little bit, they played on the Ed Sullivan Show. It wasn't a single, but it's actually, you know, become pretty well known just from being on this album, being like a staple of their live set. Anyway, this one's awesome. It's very, very sad, just the chord progression and the harmonies. It feels very, very sad and kind of, not depressing, but it feels like a breakup song, because it is a breakup song. And it's just awesome. I love this one. I remember before I was really a Beach Boys fan, I remember watching that Ed Sullivan video and listening to the live version of the song. Never even hearing it before, and I was like, this song is actually really fucking good. I like this, and I think I listened to it more, and then when I heard it on this album, I was like, I do like that song. Windy is beautiful. I love that song, and I don't know who it's about. I don't know who Windy is, but hey, you got a good song made about you. Next, Do You Remember? It's playing in the background. I won't have to make you listen because it's kind of a waste of time, but anyway. Do You Remember is nothing, it's nothing, well, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. It's not in line with what the Beach Boys were doing, you know, like, it's really hard to explain. So it is an original written by Brian and I think Mike. I can actually check real quick on the actual record. Do You Remember? So just Brian wrote it. So it's really interesting. So it is an original Beach Boys songs, but it's a tribute to all of the 50s rock and roll artists like Elvis, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Fats Domino. Well, they don't mention him in this song, but all these guys who helped create rock and roll, which at the time was only like 10 years old, they basically dedicated a whole song to them. And this song to me is not really a song that you would listen to just to sing along to it, because, you know, it is catchy, it's really fun, I love it, but this song for me is more demonstration, not of songwriting, but of Brian's production skills, because the production on this song is fucking awesome. Wrecking Crew all over it. The vocals are insane. It's just all over the place, and it's really complex. Just for the topic they're talking about, it's really complex, and it's just a fun song. I really like it. And is it up to the same level of quality as I Get Around or Hushabai or Will Run Away or Windy? No, it's not, because it's not. It doesn't really mean much besides just a tribute to their idols, but I still think it's a fun track, and I love the lyrics, and I love Mike's vocal delivery, and I love the harmonies, and I love just when they go off of each other near the end. It's really awesome. It's interesting. Check it out. Next, Girls on the Beach. Hope you could hear it in the background. This to me feels like Surfer Girl Part 2, but like improved, but also like not surpassed. So I'm going to try to explain what I'm saying right now. So Girls on the Beach is a beautiful fucking ballad. It's a classic Beach Boys ballad where it's just full of harmonies, and it's slow tempo and just really catchy and melodic and beautiful. And I love the song so much, and it does really feel like an evolution of Surfer Girl. Very similar style and similar melody, but also not at the same time. You know, if you listen to it and you listen to Surfer Girl after to try to compare the two, you can actually hear not the difference. You can hear the similarities, and you could tell like, oh yeah, these are pretty similarly constructed songs. But the improvement in vocal harmonies, production, and just chordal changes on the song just makes it a completely different universe. You would never even know it sounds like Surfer Girl unless you listen to them side by side, and I love that because Brian, the way Brian could write a ballad in the early days was fucking beautiful, and I love the song. And when Dennis comes in on the bridge, it's beautiful. I love it. It's just a gorgeous song, and I mean, it's just about girls on the beach, hot girls on the beach, whatever. Just what it's about. But you know, I love this song honestly, and it's just fucking beautiful and awesome, and it's really the only pure, besides We'll Run Away, it's the only pure classic Beach Boys ballad that sounds like a classic Beach Boys ballad. We'll Run Away is very unique, so that's why I love it. Next is, out of the actual songs on the record, is probably my least favorite song. Not because it's a bad song, it's not at all. It's just a corny song, not in a bad way, but it's just corny. It's just a corny little fun song. It's called Drive-In. And this one again is like another demonstration of Brian Wilson's production. You know, he's gone on to say he actually really fucking loved making this song, and he's really proud of it, which I can see because the production is nuts. I love the production. It's just really big and full and just fits really well, and you could really hear that Brian was improving. And I think the song is good, but it is corny. It is about going to the drive-in, getting fucking popcorn and chili cheese dogs and, well, what am I saying? Hot dogs. I don't even know what I'm saying, man. It's a good song. It's a good song. I enjoy it. It's just, it's not serious. And, you know, this album really isn't serious, but you kind of want it to be like, not just such a niche category. So I really like the song, honestly, but it's just really niche. Same thing with like, do you remember talking about the rock and roll idols, and then like Little Honda. Nothing wrong with it, just something I point out. Next is a very, very, very interesting tune. So it's not actually a song, and this actually is very similar to Shutdown Volume 2 in the way that it is just a skit that is not, you know, a constructed song that they made to be a song. It is just a studio skit. It's not just studio recordings that obviously made it for the album, because it's very obviously not scripted, but you know, they tried to put it together in a funny way, which comes off really awesome. But it's called Our Favorite Recording Sessions, and it's just the guys just being fucking hilarious in the studio, and it's just so cool to hear all their voices as like, you know, 20-something-year-olds. Some of them not even 20 yet. Carl wasn't 20, Dennis wasn't 20 yet, and it's just really awesome to hear it. It's just a funny song. It's not even a song, and a lot of people argue that it brings the album down, and I could see that because it is not a song, and if you're listening to an album for a complete musical experience, you're gonna be kind of like, why? This is just talking, but that's why I love it, because you're never gonna get a fucking album like this by any band then or now, and it just makes it so unique, and I think it's really cool to hear. And then it goes into the last song on side 2, the last song of the whole record, Don't Back Down, and this song, man, okay. So, the Beach Boys, to the general public, to the average, not even music enjoyer, just to a general person who's heard of them, the Beach Boys are known as a surf rock band who sing about surf songs. And is that a bad thing? You know, kinda, no, not really, and it makes sense because that's what got them popular. But it's you know, it's iconic to their image, at least. At the very least, you have to like realize it's very iconic to their sound or style. And they made less than 10 songs about surfing in the early days. I just like with vocals, they probably made less than 10 surfing songs, but like not including the instrumentals. Anyway, but Don't Back Down on the last song on this record is the last surf song they would ever make for the rest of their careers, and like specifically it's about surfing, not like mentioning surfing like Do It Again or like Going to the Beach, like actually a song about surfing. This is the last surf song the Beach Boys ever made, and it's kind of fucking bittersweet because I love this song. It sounds like punk, like it sounds punk 15 years before punk, and it's just really high energy. I love Mike's vocals on the verses; they come off really well, and I love the lyric when he says the boys know the surf like the palm of their hand, which is a paradox, because the saying is you know something like the back of your hand, meaning you know it really well, but you don't know the palm of your hand, so that means they don't know what the fuck they're doing, so they're just going out there having fun and just being risky and daredevils and shit. And Brian comes in on the chorus, and I love his falsetto, and he has like a little grittiness in there, like a little not rasp, but just kind of like a little bit, just like, you know, a little bit of that grittiness, and it's awesome. And there's punk bands that have covered this, and they do it. Most of the ones I've heard have done justice to it really well, but I think just overall it's a great fucking song, and it's really interesting and really bittersweet to just know that it's the last Beach Boys surf song they ever made. So, with that ends off All Summer Long, and I just blazed through that right now, but what I can say is that it is one of their most entertaining albums, and no matter what, I have so much fun sitting down and listening to this one. The highlights are absolutely some of the greatest songs they ever made. Well, I Get Around is easily one of their best songs, for sure. It's one of the greatest songs of all time. And then you have other songs like, you know, Hushabai, Will Run Away, Windy, Girls on the Beach, which are just fucking awesome, underrated, really fucking beautiful songs. And then you just have like, you know, great-ass rock songs like All Summer Long, Little Honda, Carl's Big Chance, Do You Remember Driving, Don't Back Down. And then you have a skit, which, you know, it's not a song, and for some people can bring the album down, but to me it doesn't at all. And it's just so fun and entertaining. Now, is it gonna... I as much as I would like to put it higher, I really cannot, because one, it's a really short record, and as much as I love short records, it just comes and goes really fast, and it's great because you don't have to worry about sitting down to listen to it. You can put it on any time, and you'll most definitely finish it most of the times. But it is short, and it is just a fun album. You know, you're not gonna get a Pet Sounds here because it's fun and innocent and enjoyable. And the reason it's number 14 and not any higher is because it's just not... I don't even know how to word this properly, honestly, because don't get me wrong, I fucking adore this album and I love it. But I think honestly just the main reason that it's just not any higher is because they just made better. I really can't say it any more way because there's nothing I'm gonna put down about it. Sure, You know, it has a skit track. Some people maybe not like that. Sure, Do You Remember and Drive-In aren't like the craziest songs, and sure they're kind of corny, but you know what? Even then, they're still fun to listen to, and they're super unique because you'll never hear on any other album by anybody, and just adds the charm to the album. So yeah, All Summer Long is the sixth studio album by the Beach Boys. Actually, they never said that, but it is their sixth album, and it went to number 4 on the charts. I Get Around went to number 1. There's no other singles on here, so yeah, really, if I were to have give this a score out of 10, I'd give it like a 9.5 easily. In the Carl and the Passions one, I said 9.5. I'd probably lower that one to like a 9.25 or something like that, just to like make it more balanced. But this one's definitely like a 9.5, 9.345, something like that. Because there's just so many classics, there's so many underrated tracks, there's so many fun tracks, and you know, I love the cover, just this design with all the squares and the guys. You know, Al is cemented in the band now. You know, it's his second album with the band, and he's just included. Um, and this back cover is just awesome. I love seeing all the guys. They have their quotes. You have the advertising for the other records. It's just an awesome album overall. So, if you haven't listened to All Summer Long by the Beach Boys, go check out All Summer Long by the Beach Boys. And yeah, it's a record I really fucking love. I adore it. When the first time I listened to it, I remember how it made me feel. I remember how good I felt, and it still makes me feel good. And I Get Around's playing again in the background because when I do these reviews, I put on songs in the background. But since my reviews are longer than these fucking albums, I have to do versions. I have like the mono and stereo so it could play more because it'll end up looping the album because they're that short. Yes, this album is shorter than this review, so you guys will not waste your time. It is really fucking short, really sweet, and you'll love it because it's just fun. And even if you don't, you'll have a good time. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's a fucking great album that showed Brian's production grow. It showed the Beach Boys' harmonies grow and their musical abilities, and it features just some absolute all-time classics that really just cemented them as the greatest American rock and roll band the greatest American band of all time. And that's not debatable. Even if you're not a fan of them, they are, without a doubt, objectively the greatest American band in history and one of the greatest bands of all time. And this album was one of their first ones where it really, really started showing their progress in the music world. And for that, I have to give it a 9.5. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about All Summer Long. So if you guys haven't listened to it, go check it out, and let me know what you thought about this review in the comments. It was good doing another one because I haven't done one in a while. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this album, the review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.